Hello, my name is Shirley Self, and I'm here to talk astrology. Tonight I wanted to talk about the nodes, particularly the nodes of the moon, which are sometimes referred to as your karma line. All the planets have nodes. They are where the planet, or the moon, crosses the ecliptic being the apparent path of the sun, where the planets cross the ecliptic going up. That is the north node of the moon or the planet, or going down, that is the south node of the moon or the planet. The Jyotish, the Hindu astrology, refers to the nodes as Ketu, that's the south node, or Rahu, that's the north node, and considers them malefics. They are malefic. They are your karma line. It is riding the dragon, the demogorgon, the karmic dragon. Okay, that is the south node there. It's being munched. That is the north node there, doing the munching. The south node is what has already been accomplished. It's what has been achieved. You're used to it. You tend to overwork it, tend to retreat to it. It tends to become kind of like a permanent buffalo wallow. It's kind of barren. The north node is where you grow, where you evolve, where you individuate, where you don't know what to do. It's the hard part. Anyway, when you get cornered like a rat, my advice, don't retreat to the south node. There is no shelter there. Run to the north node and work it like crazy. It pays to use it. It saves you from boredom if nothing else. So last year our south node was in Pisces. Hard to get anything done with the south node in Pisces. You just don't have much energy. Work is more difficult even than usual. Things get forgotten, misplaced, mislabeled, misfiled. You don't have any energy to deal with it anyway. Well, now the south node is in Aquarius, so instead of being forgotten by our waitress, we are ignored. The south node brings out the worst in any sign. And if you've got it by a planet, I have the south node in Aries, conjunct my Saturn in Aries. So that's why I'm a late bloomer. And I pin it right on that. Anyway, the south node in Aquarius, where we have it now, is aloof, uninvolved, superior, and arrogant. You can be superior and arrogant and uninvolved, and you don't have to get your hands dirty if you just stand on your mountaintop and watch those stupid people running around like idiots, right? Getting down there and being involved is Leo. And you're going to get your hands dirty. You're going to look like an idiot, and it's dangerous, especially if you are have a lot of Aquarius and just see. Aquarius is not considered to be a pro-life sign. It rules the path of birth and death, but birth is not a happy thing, and death is getting out of here. So it's not a pro-life sign. Aquarius doesn't aspire to be human. It aspires to be humane. It adds a little E to the end of it. Aquarius wants to transcend human life. It wants to achieve perfection. That's not human. Anyway, the north node at the times is in a Leo, and that means get involved. That is according to your sun sign. It's asking you to lean in, according to your nature. Now this is the Sibley chart of the birth of our nation, July 4th, 1776 in Philadelphia at 5:10 p.m. This is a mundane chart, a worldly chart. Our first house here is the way we view ourselves and kind of the way other people see us, Sagittarius rising. The second house, of course, is our money. It's banks, and our prosperity, generally. The third house is, of course, our communications, our roads, all kinds of transit, and education, a lower education. This 9th house will be higher education. The 4th house is agriculture, real estate, the land itself. This also, the 4th house is the best interests of the people in a mundane chart. And notice it has Chiron there, the wounded healer. The 5th house has our children and amusements, and so we have rich people there who are terribly amusing, upper classes. And this is our house of public happiness or sorrow. It's also the house of the Senate. The 6th house of course, is public health, the armed forces. Any kind of involuntary servitude is in that 6th house. The 7th house, of course, is our partners, people that we relate to one-to-one, so other nations, and open enemies. And we've got our sun there. Cool, huh? Okay, the 8th house is our national debt and any income from exports. Notice I've got Fortuna there. The 9th house up there has got Neptune in it, and that is our higher education. It's immigration and the judiciary and the religion and the press. So it's one busy house with Neptune up there. That 10th house has got that exalted Saturn in Libra there. And that is the house of the president and the ruling party. The 11th house is, of course, the money house of the nation's government. And so that is the House of Representatives there. And friends of the nation are in the 11th house. And the 12th house. And so that's secret enemies. Those are spies, labor disturbances, epidemics, hospitals, jails, other unsavory things. Notice that the ruler of the Mars and our open enemies over here also rules the house of our secret enemies. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Don't really know what to make of that right off. So anyway, that's the U.S. chart. Notice we've got the Sun over there, conjunct to Jupiter, and Venus, the benefics, in Cancer. But they are on the cusp of the 8th house. And what that generally means is you've got some remedial work here to do. You virtually have to transmute your caring nature, Cancer. And then we've got Mars in that house. And that makes us uncomfortable for other people to work with. We've got Uranus over there. I was really, recently I was reading an interesting book by Liz Green. I recommend it. It's called The Art of Stealing Fire, and it's about Uranus. Or Prometheus. The thing about Uranus in the 7th, or on the 7th cusp, which is where ours is that it's really wise to let other people be who they are, because you can't change them. They are who they are. And if we could only do that, but we've got that Mars right there, and it's very hard for us to mind our own business with that Mars in Gemini, especially on the 7th house cusp. So we tend to feel an imperative or a right to change other people's minds. And that Mars is square Neptune. It's Mars square Neptune is really interesting. Notice the Mars, and that is an exact square. I'm sorry I'm shaking so bad. Had too much fun today. It's a Sunday. Anyway, that Mars square Neptune is interesting when it comes to war. Because we have to be conned into war. We've got our moon in Aquarius. And the moon in Aquarius doesn't really care. It finds the world and things, etc., interesting, but doesn't really care. And so we've had to be lied and threatened. They're coming after us in order to get us into war. They're bombing us, Gulf of Tonkin, things like that. So the moon in Aquarius, in the third house, rules the people. And so what we've got is the ruler of hearth and home, the moon, in the sign of alienation. Now, I'm sorry to be so hard on Aquarius, but the South Node is in Aquarius right now, and it deserves it. So the moon in Aquarius will commit to an idea or an ideal, and we are deeply committed to an ideal, but we're not committed to people. We our melting pot is in Aquarius, and it is too cold to melt. Anyway, let's look at this chart again. The pattern. Mark Edmund Jones did a lot of work and instructed us about reading the pattern of a chart. Notice this cluster up here, and this is not a conjunction. This is a semisextile. Our Pluto in the second house of the natural resources, and our moon in the third house of communications are in the handle to virtually what is a fan. This gives a lot of power to that Pluto and the moon. Now the problem with our moon, other than being in Aquarius and we don't give a damn, is that it is, not only do we have the South Node there, but our moon is void of course. Void of course kind of denies anything you start with the moon void of course. You never know where it's going to end up. It can often turn into aimlessness. Anyway, when the moon is void of course, don't buy a refrigerator. Don't sign away anything when the moon is void of course, because things go strangely wrong. Anyway, because our moon in Aquarius is in the third house, it should give us a voice of equal power to that Pluto in Capricorn, of big business. Pluto in Capricorn is big business, big banks, and their best interests should be coordinated with our best interests. They're equal. They're side by side. It's a semisextile. They could work together. But we have a short little span of attention, unfortunately. The South Node in Aquarius scatters energy. It scatters your attention. It's hard to focus, stay focused. I mean, a new thing will come by and off we go to the latest new thing. Our president, let's talk about our Donald Trump. Our president has his sun on our Mars. And he has his ascendant in exact opposition, well, within 2 degrees of our void of course moon. This is proving to be very energizing to us. That ascendant of our beloved president is conjunct Regulus. Let's talk about our president for a bit. That Regulus, that fixed star, is tremendously powerful, but it's dangerous. It's dangerous to others, and it's dangerous to the one who wields that power. Because it's, you know, as Abraham Lincoln said, you really want to test somebody? Give them power. Give them power. And our president is being tested. Regulus is got kind of narrow-minded. I mean, if you start misusing that power, it will start to take you down. So the problem with Regulus is he's got that power, but our president has, in his second house, he has got Neptune, Chiron, and Jupiter in Libra. It's a little stellium, if you want to include Chiron and make it a stellium. And so Chiron is sandwiched between Neptune and Jupiter. Chiron in the second house. Chiron, you know, is the wounding. We all have it somewhere. A wounding that starts us on our adventure to heal and to figure out ourselves. This wounding in the second house is a wounding to his self-esteem. And you look at what caused that wounding, and it's the Neptune. Some ignorance, some stupidity, some neglect. And because it's ruled by Venus, and his Venus is conjunct Capricorn, or conjunct Saturn in Cancer, and Saturn in Cancer kind of sucks as a parent, and it's conjunct Venus and makes the Venus feel very unloved. Anyway, some unloving action happened to our president when he was very young, probably his second year, because that Chiron is in the second house. And you can kind of say, okay, the first house kind of rules your first year. The second house will rule your second year. And so his wounding happened fairly early. Excuse me while I get a drink of water. I'm back. So anyway, his Regulus ascendant is definitely energizing our moon in Aquarius. And so now coming up, the great American eclipse is happening right on Regulus. That's 2 new moons in Leo this year. That is a true blue moon. Solar eclipses traditionally are notorious for bringing down the king. And that eclipse is in the 9th house of the judiciary. So this does not look good for our president. But it bodes well, very well for the people. The eclipse is a major ending and a new beginning. Uranus is at 28 degrees of Aries in a trine to this eclipse point, and it's going to jumpstart some changes for us. Mars will transit the eclipse point on September 3rd. Something will happen then. Mercury will station retrograde on September 5th. So there's going to be an awareness, could be born, awareness of a new potential, new possibilities here. And then Venus will transit this eclipse point on September 18th. Kind, compassionate Venus in Leo. And it's opened up some stuff. Oh, speaking of opening up, Jupiter is at this eclipse, is trining our natal Mars. And because Mars rules our house of secrets, we may find some more stuff along with the stuff we've been finding, but it could be major. Anyway, the eclipse in Leo is asking of us, as citizens and lovers of this country, to get involved. Have some courage. Abandon your superior, aloof, Aquarian attitude, which, you know, is very pervasive right now, and lean in. Communicate across boundaries. Do a good Aquarian thing. Be friendly, but go there. Talk to people. Anyone with planets around 5 degrees, one way or the other of this eclipse, are going to notice something. They're going to wake up to something of the heart, because this eclipse is demanding of us that we take the road with heart, that we that we live according to the nature of our sun in love. According to the nature of your sun, lean in, be a leader, give. Anyway, a happy eclipse, people. I'm really excited about it myself, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.